good. This will be very helpful for us. Elizabeth, this is Dee Dee Pierce, and she's a team member. Our third.
Hello. Hi, Dee Dee.
Hi.
Hi.
And we're in the class Hacking for Recovery, as you know, and we are hacking Screen 360 TV so that it to find a way it best serves the recovery, the pandemic recovery, particularly in education. And Dee Dee has a background not only in social studies and history education for a high school, but she has also developed a high school film festival for attached to a larger film festival in her area, and she's in Ohio.
Right.
Okay.
And Elizabeth is in Portland, Oregon as well.
Oh, nice.
Well, and the piece that was, well, I guess the two pieces of my 15-year-old son's high school, the last 2 months of his year, the two courses that we were really able to help him engage and complete well, not just complete, but complete well, was his film literature and history. So something about those two subjects and the combination.
That's right.
Just
That's good.
It works for the format.
That's
Right.
that's very good. That's good to hear. Well, that's something that we want to know about today. We specifically want to understand how Screen 360 could serve the parent. So we want to hear some insights from you, and you've used it considerably already. And wondering if you've tooled around in the website besides your experiences with me.
I haven't actually. Just clicking on, what I expect is to click on it and then for it to open up. And so that when that doesn't happen, I'm kind of thrown. But it always ends up working. So clicking on the spot that says click here.
You did, and so
I haven't gone deep into it.
And did you click there today? And you got here?
Eventually, yeah. I think it had to do with me tweaking the Zoom in my own computer.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you felt like you needed to be linked on Zoom. That link should get you right in whether you have Zoom or not.
Okay.
Okay.
It just brought in a dialog box that said it would open eventually, but maybe I just wasn't patient enough. Which is possible.
That dialog box is the precursor to opening up there.
Yeah.
Good. We expected it to be more instant, and I'm sure you're not the only one who expected suddenly movie is on. And so that's good. Okay. How do you think you would use Screen 360 TV in your family?
I would say as an educational tool, it would have to be, rather prescribed. It'd have to be, the teacher would have to really commence with the teacher's instruction. Okay. So the teacher would say, you have an assignment, go here, watch this.
Okay.
And, report back, whatever. But it really has to be instigated by a teacher for our family, instigated by the teacher, not the parent. The parents, the parents' desire, the parents, it's not, in our family, and I think we're pretty typical, it is not seen as valid education, right? It's another thing your parent wants you to do. It's not what the school wants you to do. So it really has to be the point and the assignment or the connection has to come from the school.
Okay. That's good. That's really helpful. Are there some examples of that the school has done that uses media or film that you found really successful, like you just spoke about?
The example I was giving with Jameson's film and literature course.
Mm-hmm.
That was, he had leeway. So he had some films he could choose completely with no parameter, and he could decide what to watch. But then there were another category of coming of age films that had to come from a list,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a set of questions to answer from those. So they were that, that certainly made it an assignment, but it gave him some choice within that assignment. So,
Okay.
but they were all within this theme or genre or whatever topic of coming of age.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the variety was pretty wide, from totally campy comedy sorts of coming of age to very serious drama, and in between, a little bit of fantasy. So I think there was enough that it could appeal to, different moods or different levels of maturation in any given age group.
So had the instructor asked you about those films? Did you know anything about these films in advance? And
No. Mm-mm.
So the instructor went ahead
They-
and selected the films and presented them. Okay, instructor
yeah.
driven.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So none of the parental guidance that I think that a middle schooler in a public school might expect from being expected. I mean,
Right.
this is why our brother John, who is a middle school teacher, has not shown any films from Screen 360 TV. He says getting parental permission is too much of a pain. And what do you do if one kid doesn't get their permission slip signed, and he's got the full class, and then he's got to figure out what to do with this one kid who can't watch the film? So he throws the whole thing out. So it's these permissions, parental permissions, that some schools might, did they maybe clear that in the beginning? Do you remember?
Well, in the very, there might be too much of a gap of space to know, but in the very beginning of the year, there are the teacher sent home a syllabus and a parent and student, is mostly student agreement, but the parent signs off.
Okay.
I don't remember that the film class had permission for films in there. The list was big enough that there was a range, so you could choose something that would have been a little more innocent, and that's what I meant by levels of maturity. You could choose something that would have been a little more innocent, or something that would have been like Caddyshack, which is, campy and raunchy, but still a coming of age of an a teenager in the 1980s. So that I think if a family is going to have, if a family wants to give permission, feels like they have to, then there were enough movies on the list probably to satisfy that parent's desire for involvement.
And so you selected together, it sounds like.
Well, we did. It would have been fine in our family for him to choose what he wanted as well. But I think for those families, like you were saying, in the middle school level, you have to get permission. In the high school level, it's not quite the same. And different families probably will want to exert a little more influence. And if that was the sort of family you were, then the list is available for you to choose.
Okay.
If you let your kid make all the decisions, then there were fine films for them to choose from.
Okay. And that's very good. So it could be kid choice.
Yeah. But I think it it gave that kind of leverage. So because there is such a range of parenting styles, maturity amongst 15-year-olds, right? Or naivety or innocence.
Mm-hmm.
So having a list to choose from, I think, makes the range, it kind of respects that range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Did Jameson present the list to you? Did he ask your opinion?
He told us there was a list.
Okay.
He needed some guidance on, kind of how to manage time and how to get all the work done.
Mm-hmm.
And, in his mind, he just had to watch a coming of age film.
Okay.
And so then with some questioning, I found out, oh, there's a list. So let's see that list. And we were able to, he gets to choose what to watch, but he needed help with time management. Like, how do I watch this many films and get the work done? And it was fine for him to choose the film.
Okay, that's great. Tell me about.
Or actually, we negotiated. He chose some, we chose some.
Okay, and did you watch together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You did. Okay, you watched together. Was that wasn't part of the assignment though, or was it part of
I
the
don't think
assignment?
so.
No, no, watch
No,
together.
it wasn't. It wasn't.
Just because you had one living room with one TV screen.
Because we're all locked down together. Watching together. It was just an opportunity to watch together.
Okay, not an assignment, but that was opportunity. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. What was the method? Where was the list from? Was it a particular? Was it Netflix? Was it a particular other source? What was that?
I don't know how they made the list, but there was a range. Some of the movies on there made me wonder, like, wow, how old was this teacher? And because there were films from the 80s that I watched, right? So Caddyshack was on there, and I think that film with Brooke, what's her
Shields?
name?
Endless Love?
Yeah, Brooke Shields. Yeah. So these films. And then there were some that I think, like science fiction. Well, what he really wanted was just to watch the Star Wars, any Star Wars movie, and I'm not sure that they were on there. And I decided that we've already seen those. Those weren't gonna they weren't gonna pass my standard for the assignment. And the short story by Stephen King, Stand By Me. That was on there, and that was a great one because not only was it coming of age, it was also filmed in Oregon.
Right.
So it had a lot of appeal, and it was originally a short story made into a feature-length movie. So there was we were able to talk about the steps of the story process.
Great.
So from the perspective of, it was a film literature class, so from that perspective, I thought that was a great choice on the teacher's part, because it allowed us to expand on, it was more than just watching a movie. We were actually able to talk about different pieces of the literary process, that it was a short story and then it became this screenplay, and we were able to find those child actors in films that the kids had watched, more contemporary. So it was nice to have something that was old, throwback, and they could really kind of trace it to current day.
That's
trying to remember who the actors were.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it was a successful learning tool. This teacher, this class, yeah.
Film, and that's also our family's value, right? As you know, film is absolutely a great platform for learning.
Yeah.
Um, so we also chose to add to, so there was, and the teacher, you know, wisely made a lot of leverage for adapting the assignments and let them choose a lot. And so we, you know, Jameson got to choose Goonies, which was, you know, we've just seen it so many times that it had no interest to me. And so we let him choose Goonies if we could choose To Kill a Mockingbird. So we,
Oh,
you know, you balance things
yeah.
that are just pure fun
How did
over.
he do with To Kill a Mockingbird?
Great. Yeah, he took notes during it. It was a piece of work for him to study.
Did he speak about it in a way you hadn't heard him speak about or speak before?
I don't think so. He was actually pretty studious and quiet during the movie because he was really trying to take it in.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And it was really Fiona then, our 20-year-old, who had read the book and so had a lot to expand upon. Like there's a whole character and scene that was in the book that wasn't included in the movie, where Scout goes to a ladies' tea with her aunt. And I'd forgotten about it, but it's a big scene in the book, and I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to.
It was nice to connect. It's nice to connect the, you know, they stand alone, really, the book and the movie, as, you know, really important pieces, one, you know, literature and film.
Wow. I want to place a value on this in your life. And if Jameson has 2 more years of school, right? If one of his instructors said, we want to use this new system called Screen 360 TV, but it's going to cost families $5 a month. Would that be something that you would do? If it were a mixed, maybe there's a mixed, they license it, but families pay, contribute to it. So it'd be a mixed model.
I think our family would. I think the buy-in from the school probably is the endorsement that a lot of families need. But when you also look at streaming services that are $10 a month or something like that,
right?
You know, if you put out a possible $5 a month, then that's half of that.
Sure. So
amount.
If you have,
so plenty of people would be into it, but I think that's the I would say our family certainly would.
Certainly would. That's good. How could you imagine Screen 360 TV being used otherwise? How else?
In the world?
In the world.
In the world. So in the world, I think Screen 360 has, you know, this fantastic potential to be the archive of children's foreign film. So I can see it being ideally on part of a you know, a streaming media. So you could get you know, it could be something next to Netflix on your smart TV, where you could go to Screen 360 and watch foreign films for kids. I also see it as its own film festival. So, you know, Screen 360 could be the children's film festival in any given town, you know, because it really is I, to me, it seems like it's already established as the conduit. You know, the distributor, perhaps, might be the way to say it. That the films are procured and viewed and given the context, right? They're the, you know, they've been to film festivals, they've been screened, and they've been tested or whatever, and so that filtering process of quality is done.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
So it could be what families go to when you know, to see life in a different place in the world.
Good. Yeah, that's nice. Thank
Yeah.
you. So I guess it goes without saying that you value highly diversity in your child's life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that goes
Yeah.
without question. Dee Dee, any questions?
I have just a couple, a comment first, and I think it's fabulous that you watch the films with your son. I mean, that's awesome, absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And my question is, I'm guessing that that your son has watched foreign films with subtitles, and so my question is, what change or impact have you noticed from him having seen films that are international films?
Question.
So I have to think about, I would say when I was the one making the decisions, so when they were much younger, that we would see foreign films or films with subtitles, or sometimes they were dubbed. If we're in Mexico, they might be dubbed into English, or so he's been exposed to it, but I don't know that he chooses it himself at this point in his life. I think having subtitles, I think that, and so when he was younger, I would choose the diversity, and I think there is this this kind of place in development in adolescence where he is now, where it's really about mainstream. So so I think there's an evolution to some degree that I've seen in our two older children, where they're back to watching telenovelas in Spanish, or watching Spanish language in order to hear it, watching programs on cable TV or on screening services that are in different languages in order to get the language back, to be able to, I think, to just keep hearing it. And for one, it's, I think, the drama aspect or the period piece, because some of those telenovelas are, a period in time.
Yeah, I guess
so I think,
my question, I think, is, have you seen, as a result of this, would you say he's more culturally literate, or more understanding that there are differences in the world, and he could kind of appreciate he can appreciate differences, I guess, from having been exposed to these kinds of films?
I think in this particular child, not yet. I think it's more just developmentally, and maybe his birth order, but I think not quite yet. And he also is, as an individual, he's this homebody. He's, introvert, doesn't really want his world to be too big. So I think he is not there yet, but it's in there somewhere.
Yeah,
but I think it's more, I think it's more a a personal thing for him, because he, when we do watch something or expose him to something, force a little bit, he usually says, "Oh, that was okay." Like, I forced him to take a lift the other day, and he was, really nervous about that with me, the two of us in a lift. And, I knowing that the driver would be probably a man of color and from another country. And, and he was. So this black Bahamian man. And so Jameson at first was, I think, anxious or nervous about the unknown experience, but then thought it was great. So
instead, we've been reducing the experience to whether you cringe and turn away from something that's new and foreign, or do you relax and go, "Oh, cool." It comes down to that.
So
that's great.
he doesn't relax easily. So, but when he is pushed, there's usually some, he feels like it's worth it.
That's great. That's great. I like that, hearing about that life story. And plus his auntie says that when he's older, he can come with her to film festivals. And so
yes,
that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to him yet. But
no, because they'll probably have to get on an airplane, which frightens him. So
okay. Yeah. So that's interesting. So travel. So we bring the world to him through films.
Yes.
Right.
And I think for him, for him individually, the setting seems to make the difference. Like, if I can't entice him with storyline, then I could say, like, well, it's in Oregon. It's it's your backyard, or it's Alaska, something that is intriguing to him. So
sure.
If it's not a storyline, then it might be another piece of the film.
That's good. That's something that we hope to be a way of choosing Screen 360 TV.
Yeah.
Who we want to watch with someone from the Bahamas. And so we're able to tap on the Bahamas, and there will be a list comes down of and when.
Right. So and I think that's it, because because you have curated Screen 360, and I think that's what the richness of it is, if it's curated to the point where it can reach kids in the US. The range is huge. Some of them are going to eat up everything that's different and foreign. They'll just eat it up and crave it. And other kids will be frightened by something that's foreign, or to read subtitles. It'll be frightening to them. But if it's curated to the degree that you can describe all of these different categories, and then parents who know their children best can find that one thing that might catch them.
Does Jameson follow any AP or International Baccalaureate courses?
No, he may, if he continues with German, it will have to be IB. It'll have to be IB German. He probably would do well if he did IB history. He really excels at history and he loves it. But the degree of work that is required will probably intimidate him, because they have to do a lot of writing for IB, and so it's that anxiety factor.
Okay, and he doesn't feel like he's up to it, but if he understands what the outcome and the results are when he does do that work, and what he can achieve because of it, he might be interested.
He might be, as long as it's, I think it's, for him, it's more what to do with that sense of being overwhelmed. So if there's, if the work is, whatever work is required, if it's ends up being presented in a way where it seems like there is, many papers or a lot of assignments, that if they're film related, that's one thing, but the degree of work, I think, is what creates anxiety for most kids.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Got it.
yeah. So if it is, if they're short, like if they're to do an assignment with each film, if it is short, or if they're given, for him particularly, given a template, like these are the questions I want you to answer in each film. And so he really just needs to pull out the answers from the film.
I see.
He's
Sure. But
that's
composing,
a
he's
little
not
more
the.
concrete.
Yeah. Sure.
It's the assignments that are just a little more concrete.
Sure. Sure. I get it.
Yeah.
Composition is the next step. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, truly, that didn't come to me until graduate school.
Yeah. No.
So, right, it wasn't a high school thing.
It has to be asked for also, very much like exposure.
Right. Yeah. And in a stepwise fashion, I think, so if he gets a template that he has to fill out the answers to, using those answers, write a paragraph or something, so that he doesn't have to pull it all out of his brain.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think their brain is, they just need to figure out the search engine in their brain, and rather than put in something general, it's something specific, right? So if you put in a specific search into your search engine, you get something that's probably closer to what you were thinking than if you put in, and something more digestible than if you put in something that's huge.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
right.
But then
Or vague,
also,
right?
if you're told to write something and come from something huge, then the first thing you think is quite legitimate to use that rather than swimming around.
Yeah.
So using that.
And I just know from many of the kids I know, if you say write whatever you think, or it's that is too broad. So, or whatever is important to you, it's broad, and they get stopped up on that.
Right. Yeah, that's
or
awesome.
they think that whatever they think isn't really what the teacher wanted.
That's it. But
even if it's what they asked,
even if it's what they asked,
they don't want to hear that. Yeah, they don't want to hear that.
Dee Dee, I think we have to move along. Is there anything that we missed, Dee Dee? I don't think so.
I think we're good. No, I think that was good. That was good.
Sister, that was really good. And I asked Fiona if she would talk to us also, because there's a piece of this that has pivoted and become a little more specific to ensuring that the films we show support not only cultural literacy, but specifically to the United States and the need for our history and racial equality to be discussed and dug into. So
Great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Maybe I wonder if
you're very
Jameson,
welcome.
we ought to interview Jameson. I will ask him.
I'll think about how we can make that work for him. I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
He will be honest. Of all things, he'll be honest. Yeah.
That's good.
Perfect.
That's good. Thank you.
Great.
Maybe I should be off
Great.
and Dee Dee can do the interview.
Yeah, that might be the way. Yeah, you're onto it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sister.
All right.
See you soon.
You're welcome. Best of luck.
Bye.